The stadium lights burned across Dallas like a second sunrise. More than 70,000 fans screamed beneath the cold October sky while cameras flashed across the field. Friday night football in Texas wasn't just a sport. It was religion. And tonight, all eyes were on Ethan Cole. Quarterback. 23 years old. Future superstar. America's newest football hero. The crowd chanted his name while he stepped onto the field. Ethan! 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 ESPN cameras followed every movement. Children wore his jersey. Sponsors fought over commercials. Sports analysts called him the next football legend. But Ethan didn't hear any of it. Because across the field, standing near the tunnel entrance, was a man wearing a black hoodie. Watching him. Not cheering. Not smiling. Just staring. And something about that stare felt wrong. Very wrong. Coach Daniels slapped Ethan's helmet. Focus, kid. Ethan nodded. The game began. The roar of the stadium shook the earth itself. Dallas Knights vs. Chicago Warriors. National broadcast. Millions watching. The first half became legendary instantly. Ethan moved like magic. Perfect passes. Impossible escapes. Touchdowns that made commentators scream. By halftime, social media exploded. Future Hall of Famer. Best young QB in America. Football genius. But then everything changed. Late in the third quarter, Ethan noticed the man in the black hoodie again. Closer now. Standing near the sideline tunnel. Still watching. Then the man slowly raised a phone. And showed Ethan a photograph. A woman. And a child. Ethan froze. His sister. And her daughter. The man mouthed 4 words. Throw the final drive. Ethan's blood turned cold. The next play began. The defense rushed toward him. The crowd screamed. But Ethan's mind was somewhere else entirely. Fear. Pure fear. He threw the ball. Interception. The stadium gasped. Commentators screamed in disbelief. Then another mistake. Then another. Dallas lost the game. Fans booed loudly. Analysts called it the worst collapse of Ethan's career. Nobody understood why. Nobody except the man in the black hoodie. As Ethan walked toward the locker room, the man disappeared into the tunnel shadows. And somewhere deep inside, Ethan realized something terrifying. Football was no longer just a game. 3 states away in Chicago, Detective Marcus Kane sat inside an interrogation room beneath flickering lights. Across the table sat a drug dealer covered in bruises. Marcus looked exhausted. 42 years old. Former Marine. Now one of Chicago PD's most feared detectives. The suspect smirked. You got nothing on me. Marcus slowly placed photographs onto the table. Dead teenagers. Overdose victims. Destroyed families. You sold poison to kids, Marcus said quietly. The suspect shrugged. That's business. Marcus stared at him for several long seconds. Then leaned forward. No. His voice became ice. That's evil. The suspect finally looked nervous. Marcus's partner, Detective Lena Ortiz, entered the room. We got another body. Marcus sighed heavily. Where? Near Soldier Field. That got his attention. Soldier Field. Home of the Chicago Warriors football team. Marcus followed Lena into the cold night. Rain soaked the city streets. Chicago looked beautiful from a distance. But Marcus knew the truth. Underneath the lights, the city was bleeding. When they reached the crime scene, police tape surrounded a luxury SUV. Inside sat a dead man. 40s. Expensive suit. Single bullet wound. Marcus frowned. Who is he? Lena handed him a file. Victor Ross. Marcus's eyes narrowed instantly. He recognized the name. Victor Ross was one of the biggest sports betting brokers in America. Legal on paper. Dirty underneath. Marcus studied the body carefully. Then noticed something strange. A football ticket. Clutched tightly in the dead man's hand. Dallas Knights vs. Chicago Warriors. The exact game Ethan Cole lost earlier that night. Marcus looked toward Soldier Field looming in the distance. And suddenly the case felt bigger. Much bigger. The media destroyed Ethan the next morning. Sports channels replayed his mistakes endlessly. Overrated. Mentally weak. Fraud. Fans burned his jersey online. Sponsors paused contracts. Even teammates looked confused. Inside the empty practice facility, Ethan sat alone staring at game footage. Again. And again. And again. Coach Daniels entered quietly. "You want to tell me what happened?" Ethan avoided eye contact. "Bad game. Don't insult me." Silence. Daniels crossed his arms. "You were unstoppable for 3 quarters." Ethan finally looked up. Fear filled his eyes. But before he could speak, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. One message. "Next time we hurt the child." Ethan nearly dropped the phone. Coach Daniels noticed immediately. "What's wrong?" Ethan forced a weak smile. "Nothing." Lie. Huge lie. That night, Ethan drove alone through Dallas trying to think. The city lights blurred around him. His entire life revolved around football. Without it, who was he? Then headlights appeared behind him. Black SUV? Following closely. Ethan accelerated. The SUV accelerated too. Fear returned instantly. He turned sharply into side streets. The SUV stayed behind him. Closer. Closer. Then suddenly, a truck blocked the road ahead. Ethan slammed the brakes. Men stepped from the darkness. Masks. Weapons. One of them approached his window slowly. "Get out." Ethan's heart pounded. "What do you want?" The masked man leaned closer. "You're going to lose another game for us." And that was the moment Ethan Cole realized he was trapped inside something far darker than football. Detective Marcus Kane hated sports. Or at least he pretended to. Truthfully, football reminded him of his younger brother, Tyler Kane, star high school running back, dreaming of the NFL. Until painkillers destroyed his life. Now Tyler was dead. And Marcus blamed himself. Maybe that's why he worked so hard. Maybe guilt never really disappears. Inside Chicago PD headquarters, Marcus studied Victor Ross's financial records. Millions of dollars moved through fake betting companies. Shell accounts. Cryptocurrency. Illegal gambling networks. Then Lena found something worse. These payments happened before major NFL games. Marcus looked closer. Players. Referees. Team staff. Someone was rigging football games. At a professional level. Marcus leaned back slowly. "This isn't gambling anymore." Lena nodded. "It's organized crime." Then another detective entered quickly. "You need to see this." Television footage appeared. Sports reporters covering Ethan Cole's collapse. Marcus watched carefully. Then paused the video. Tunnel entrance. Black hoodie. A man partially visible in the background. Marcus zoomed in. Tattoo on the neck. Snake symbol. Marcus immediately recognized it. The Serpents. One of the most violent criminal organizations operating between Texas and Illinois. Drug trafficking. Human smuggling. Extortion. Now sports corruption. Marcus whispered quietly. Jesus Christ. Because if the Serpents controlled football betting, billions of dollars were involved. And people would kill to protect that money. The masked men drove Ethan to an abandoned warehouse outside Dallas. Rain hammered the roof. Inside, armed guards watched silently. Ethan's breathing shook. Then a familiar voice echoed from the darkness. "Relax, superstar." A man stepped forward wearing an expensive gray suit. Mid-50s. Calm smile. Dead eyes. His name was Adrian Vale. Most people knew him as a wealthy businessman. Very few knew he secretly controlled one of America's largest illegal betting operations. Vale handed Ethan a tablet. On screen appeared live video. Ethan's sister Rachel. And her daughter Mia. Leaving school. Being watched. Ethan exploded. "You touched them and I swear." Vale slapped him hard across the face. The warehouse fell silent instantly. "Listen carefully," Vale said softly. "You are valuable because America loves you." He leaned closer. "And America always bets on heroes." Ethan's fists clenched. "What do you want?" "Simple." Vale smiled. "You control games." "No." Vale nodded toward armed guards. One loaded a shotgun loudly. Ethan's fear returned. Vale's voice became cold. "You'll throw the playoff game next week." Ethan stared at the screen showing his niece. Then lowered his head. The choice wasn't really a choice at all. And somewhere far away in Chicago, Detective Marcus Kane was already moving closer to the truth. Chicago's snow-covered Soldier Field like white ash. Marcus and Lena arrived before sunrise. Empty stadium. Silent seats. Ghost-like atmosphere. Marcus always found stadiums strange when empty. Millions of people worshipped places like this. Yet underneath the cheers, greed ruled everything. A stadium manager escorted them through private tunnels. "We already gave statements," he muttered nervously. Marcus ignored him. They reached security control rooms beneath the stadium. Dozens of monitors covered the walls. Lena reviewed footage from the night Victor Ross died. Then suddenly she froze. "Marcus." One camera showed Victor Ross arguing with someone minutes before his murder. A football player. Marcus leaned closer. Not just any player. Jamal Rivers. Chicago Warriors running back. NFL superstar. Marcus frowned. "Enhance audio." The sound crackled weakly. Victor Ross shouted. "You promised nobody would get hurt." Jamal looked terrified. Then another voice interrupted. A third person hidden off camera. "Walk away, Jamal." Marcus recognized the voice instantly. Adrian Vale. The businessman? The public philanthropist? The invisible criminal? Then the footage ended with gunshots. Marcus looked toward Lena. "We just stepped into a war." Ethan secretly moved his sister and niece into a hotel under fake names. He told Rachel only part of the truth. "Someone's threatening me." Rachel looked terrified. "Football threats?" Ethan nodded weakly. "Lie again." Rachel grabbed his arm. "You need police." Ethan almost laughed. Police couldn't protect anyone from organizations like Vale's. Not completely. Not forever. That night Ethan sat beside Mia while she slept. 6 years old. Innocent. The idea of criminals targeting her made Ethan sick. Then his phone rang. "Vale. You moved them." Ethan froze. "How did you?" Vale interrupted calmly. "Remember this lesson carefully. You can't hide from us." The line disconnected. Ethan realized something terrifying. They were always watching. Always. And the playoff game was only 4 days away. Marcus received unexpected help from investigative journalist Claire Bennett. Smart. Fearless. Annoyingly stubborn. Claire had spent months investigating illegal sports betting networks. Now 3 of her sources were dead. She met Marcus in a quiet diner near the river. "You're chasing Adrian Vale," she whispered. Marcus studied her carefully. "You know him?" Claire laughed bitterly. "Everyone rich in America knows Vale." She slid photographs across the table. Politicians. NFL executives. Celebrities. All connected to Vale. Marcus frowned. "This goes higher than organized crime." Claire nodded. "Much higher." Then she leaned closer. "Vale doesn't just manipulate games." Marcus waited. "He controls outcomes." Silence. Claire continued. "Players disappear. Referees get threatened. Families get targeted. And anyone who talks ends up dead. Marcus stared at the snowy Chicago streets outside. Football. America's favorite sport. Corrupted from the inside. Then Claire said something even worse. He's planning something during the championship game. Marcus's expression hardened. What kind of something? Claire whispered. I think people are going to die. Dallas Stadium exploded with noise. More than 80,000 fans screamed while fireworks lit the night sky. Playoff football. Win or go home. America watched live. Ethan stood inside the tunnel wearing his helmet. Hands shaking. Across the stadium, hidden among thousands of fans, Vale's men watched him closely. One mistake. One refusal. And Rachel or Mia would die. Coach Daniels approached. You okay? Ethan nodded automatically. Another lie. The game began. Ethan played carefully at first. Too carefully. Sports commentators noticed instantly. He looks nervous tonight. Because he was. Terrified. Late in the fourth quarter, Dallas led by 3 points. Only 2 minutes remained. Then Ethan heard it through his helmet earpiece. A whisper. Vale's voice. Throw the interception now. Ethan nearly stopped breathing. He looked toward the crowd. And spotted the black hoodie again. Watching. Waiting. The next play started. Defenders charged. Receivers sprinted. Time slowed. Ethan could end it right now. One bad throw. One fake mistake. The crowd would blame pressure. But innocent people would live. Then suddenly Ethan saw a little girl in the front row wearing his jersey. Holding a sign. You're my hero. Something inside him broke. No more fear. No more lies. Ethan launched the football deep across the field. Perfect spiral. Touchdown. The stadium erupted violently. Dallas won. Fans screamed in celebration. But Ethan wasn't celebrating. Because somewhere in the shadows, Adrian Vale was smiling. And heroes who refused orders rarely survived long. After the game, Ethan left the stadium through a private garage. Security guards surrounded him. Fans screamed outside barricades. Then the first explosion hit. Boom. Fire erupted across the parking structure. People panicked instantly. Gunfire followed. Masked shooters attacked the convoy. Ethan dove behind a vehicle. Bullets shattered windows. Security guards returned fire. Chaos consumed the garage. One attacker grabbed Ethan violently. You should have listened. Before the gunman could fire, another shot echoed. The attacker collapsed. A woman stepped from the smoke holding a pistol. Claire Bennett. Ethan stared in shock. No time! She shouted. She grabbed him and pulled him toward a black SUV. As they escaped through the burning garage, Ethan asked the obvious question. Who are you? Claire accelerated onto the highway. A journalist. Ethan almost laughed. You shoot people? When necessary. Then she looked at him seriously. Listen carefully. There's a detective in Chicago investigating Vale. Ethan's heart pounded. Can he stop them? Claire hesitated. Maybe. Then she added quietly. If we survive long enough to reach him. The highway stretched endlessly beneath freezing rain. Claire Bennett drove through the darkness while Ethan Coles sat silently beside her. Every few minutes he checked his phone. No messages from his sister. No messages from Vale. That terrified him more. Claire finally broke the silence. You ever think about quitting football? Ethan laughed weakly. Every day lately. You won't survive this if you keep thinking like an athlete. Ethan looked toward her. What does that mean? Claire's eyes stayed fixed on the road. It means you're in a war now. Hours later, the Chicago skyline appeared through heavy fog. Massive. Cold. Dangerous. Claire parked beneath an abandoned parking structure near the river. We meet Detective Marcus Kane here. Ethan frowned. You trust him? No. Then why are we here? Because he's the only cop Vale fears. Suddenly headlights flooded the structure. Black police SUV. Marcus Kane stepped out slowly wearing a heavy coat. Sharp eyes. Battle scars hidden beneath exhaustion. Detective Lena Ortiz stood beside him with her pistol already drawn. Marcus looked directly at Ethan. America's golden quarterback. Ethan crossed his arms. And you're the detective chasing ghosts. Marcus almost smiled. Then his expression hardened. Start talking. Inside the freezing parking structure, Ethan explained everything. The threats. The black hoodie. The warehouse. The forced game fixing. Vale. Marcus listened silently. But when Ethan mentioned Mia and Rachel being watched, Marcus's face darkened. Families. Lena noticed immediately. Marcus hated criminals targeting families. Because his own family once paid the price for his mistakes. Claire finally asked the question nobody wanted to hear. What's Vale planning during the championship? Marcus answered quietly. I think he wants more than money. Silence. Then Marcus added. I think he wants America watching. Marcus brought Ethan and Claire to a hidden evidence room beneath Chicago PD headquarters. Most officers didn't even know the room existed. Walls covered with photos. Crime maps. Betting networks. NFL schedules. Ethan stared in disbelief. You've been tracking this for years? Marcus nodded. Not just football. He pointed toward photographs. Basketball. Baseball. College sports. Illegal gambling touched everything. Then Marcus removed an old VHS tape from a locked cabinet. This is why I know Vale. He inserted the tape. Grainy footage appeared. 20 years earlier. Young Marcus. Young Adrian Vale. Military uniforms. Middle East combat zone. Ethan frowned. You knew him? Marcus nodded slowly. Before he became a monster. The footage showed soldiers escorting civilians through a war zone. Then gunfire erupted. Chaos. Explosions. Screaming. The camera dropped. When footage resumed, bodies covered the ground. Marcus stopped the tape. Vale abandoned civilians during an ambush to protect military money shipments. Claire stared at him. And nobody punished him? Marcus laughed bitterly. Men like Vale always survive. Ethan looked sick. So this guy destroyed lives long before football. Marcus nodded. And now he controls billions. Then Lena entered quickly. We found something. She placed blueprints onto the table. Championship stadium layouts. Emergency exits. Power systems. Security routes. Claire whispered. Oh my God! Marcus looked toward Ethan. This isn't just about fixing games anymore. Miami prepared for the national championship like a city preparing for war. Fans flooded the streets. Television crews covered every corner. Concerts. Parties. Celebrity events. America's biggest football weekend had arrived. Nobody noticed the danger hiding beneath the celebration. Vale's organization moved quietly through the city. Weapons entered through shipping docks. Explosives hidden inside catering trucks. Corrupt security officers paid millions. And inside a luxury penthouse overlooking the ocean, Adrian Vale watched football highlights calmly. One of his men entered. Ethan reached Chicago. Vale smiled faintly. And Marcus Kane? They're working together now. Vale poured himself whiskey. Good. The guard looked confused. Good? Vale walked toward the balcony. People like Marcus need hope. Miami lights reflected in his cold eyes. Because hope makes destruction more painful. Meanwhile, Marcus and Ethan arrived secretly in Miami aboard a private FBI transport. Federal agents waited on the runway. Tension filled the air instantly. The lead agent introduced himself. Special Agent Howard Pierce. Marcus disliked him immediately. Too polished. Too calm. Pierce looked toward Ethan. America's favorite quarterback. Ethan ignored the comment. Pierce continued. We'll protect you until game day. Marcus stepped closer. No offense, Agent Pierce. But somebody inside law enforcement already leaked information before. Pierce smiled politely. You accusing federal agents now? Marcus stared directly into his eyes. I'm accusing everyone. For the first time in weeks, Ethan returned to a football field. But this wasn't normal practice. The championship stadium stood empty beneath gray skies while federal snipers watched from rooftops. Marcus observed from the sidelines. He understood violence. Criminals. Death. But football? Football felt like another universe entirely. Coach Daniels approached Marcus quietly. You ever watch him play before all this? Marcus shook his head. Daniels smiled faintly. Watch. Ethan stepped back. Took the snap. And launched a pass nearly 70 yards perfectly into a receiver's hands. Even Marcus looked impressed. Daniels crossed his arms proudly. That kid makes people believe impossible things can happen. Marcus stayed silent. Then Ethan jogged toward them. Sweat covered his face. You still think this is bigger than football? Marcus answered immediately. Yes. Then he lowered his voice. But football gives them power. Suddenly Lena's voice crackled through Marcus's earpiece. Marcus, we got movement. Marcus instantly turned serious. Across the stadium parking lot, black vans entered slowly. Too many. Too organized. Marcus shouted. Get him inside! Gunfire erupted instantly. Federal agents scrambled. Players screamed. Snipers opened fire from nearby rooftops. Vale's men stormed the training facility. Marcus drew his weapon. Miami had become a battlefield. Bullets shattered stadium glass. Fans outside panicked. Marcus pushed Ethan behind concrete barriers. Stay down! The attack moved with military precision. Vale's men weren't random criminals. They were trained. Former soldiers. Mercenaries. Killers. Lena exchanged fire near the tunnel entrance. Claire helped injured staff escape. Meanwhile, Ethan stared at the chaos around him. People were dying because of him. The realization crushed him. Then he noticed something horrifying. One attacker carried stadium security credentials. Inside help. Again. Marcus tackled Ethan just as bullets ripped through the wall behind them. You want to survive? Marcus shouted. Then stop freezing. Ethan's breathing shook. I'm not a cop. No, Marcus growled. You're a target. The firefight intensified. Then suddenly all stadium lights shut off. Darkness swallowed everything. Emergency alarms screamed. Marcus realized the truth instantly. This attack was distraction. Lena answered through the radio. They hit the power grid. Marcus's blood ran cold. If Vale controlled stadium power during championship night, thousands could die in the panic alone. Then Ethan whispered. He's planning mass murder. Marcus looked toward the dark stadium. And for the first time, he feared they might already be too late. Chicago detective Lena Ortiz trusted very few people. After 10 years in homicide, trust became dangerous. But now suspicion infected everything. Someone inside law enforcement kept leaking information. And people kept dying. Late that night, Lena secretly reviewed federal communication logs. One name appeared repeatedly. Agent Howard Pierce. Calls. Encrypted transfers. Deleted files. Lena's heart pounded. Then Marcus entered quietly. You found something. Lena turned the screen toward him. Marcus's expression hardened instantly. Pierce. Lena nodded. He's dirty. Before Marcus could answer, the office lights suddenly shut off. Silence. Then footsteps. Marcus grabbed his pistol instantly. Too late. Gunshots exploded through the darkness. Federal agents stormed the office. Pierce stepped forward calmly. Sorry, detective. Marcus fired back while pulling Lena behind cover. Pierce smiled coldly. You really thought you could stop this? Marcus shouted. You sold out your country for gambling money? Pierce laughed. Not money. He raised his rifle. Power. The shootout tore through the office. Computers exploded. Glass shattered. Marcus and Lena barely escaped through maintenance stairs. As alarms echoed through the building, Marcus realized something terrible. Vale now controlled federal access, meaning nobody inside the championship stadium would truly be safe. Rachel Cole disappeared the next morning. So did Mia. Ethan nearly destroyed the hotel room after learning the news. No, 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 and no! Marcus grabbed him aggressively. Control yourself! Ethan shoved him away. They took my family! Claire entered holding a phone. Vale video called them. Rachel and Mia sat tied to chairs, terrified. Vale smiled calmly. Now you understand consequences. Ethan's voice broke. Please, don't hurt them. Vale tilted his head. You had one job. Then he looked directly toward Marcus. And you still think this ends with handcuffs? Marcus said nothing. Because deep down, he knew something painful. Men like Vale rarely surrendered alive. Vale continued. Tomorrow night. Championship game. Ethan throws the final drive. Or the child dies live on camera. The screen went black. Silence filled the room. Ethan collapsed into a chair. Broken. Marcus looked toward the city skyline. Then quietly loaded his pistol. Lena noticed immediately. You got a plan? Marcus answered softly. Yeah. And for the first time since this began. Marcus Kane stopped thinking like a detective. And started thinking like a soldier. Rain crashed across Miami Harbor. Perfect weather for violence. Marcus, Lena, Claire, and Ethan stood inside an abandoned marina studying blueprints. Vale's men held Rachel and Mia inside an old shipping warehouse. Heavy guards. Automatic weapons. Limited exits. Suicide mission. Marcus looked toward Ethan. You stay here. Ethan shook his head instantly. No chance. You're not trained for this. They're my family. Marcus stared at him for several seconds. Then finally nodded. Stick close. Midnight. The team approached silently by boat. Lightning flashed across the ocean. Guards patrolled the warehouse catwalks. Marcus signaled forward. Everything moved fast afterward. Silent takedowns. Suppressed gunfire. Close combat. Marcus fought like a man possessed. Years of war returning instantly. Inside the warehouse, Ethan found Rachel and Mia. Rachel cried openly. Mia ran into Ethan's arms. For one beautiful moment, everything felt okay again. Then alarms exploded. Vale's men flooded the warehouse. Bullets tore through crates. Chaos erupted. Claire shouted. Move! The escape became war. Marcus covered the others while exchanging fire with mercenaries. Then Adrian Vale himself appeared above the catwalk. Rain and lightning framed him like a demon. You still don't understand, Vale shouted. This country worships violence disguised as entertainment. Marcus aimed upward. Maybe. But people like you are the reason heroes matter. The firefight intensified. Then the warehouse exploded. Fire consumed the harbor. And Vale disappeared into the flames. Again. The championship stadium looked like another world. More than 100,000 fans. Global broadcast. Military flyovers. Fireworks. Music. America watching. But hidden beneath the celebration waited terror. Vale's remaining mercenaries had planted explosives throughout the stadium. Agent Pierce controlled internal security. And somewhere inside the crowd, Adrian Vale prepared his final move. Marcus moved through underground tunnels with Lena and Claire. Bomb squad teams followed. Every second mattered. Meanwhile, Ethan entered the field. The crowd erupted instantly. Nobody knew his family had nearly died hours earlier. Nobody knew bombs surrounded them. Football continued anyway. Because America always wanted the show. The game began. Tension consumed everything. Marcus located the first explosive beneath the east stands. Then another near the power systems. Too many. Pierce's voice suddenly echoed through security radios. You lose, Marcus. Emergency exits locked automatically. Fans unknowingly became trapped. Panic spread among security teams. Then Marcus heard screaming above. Gunmen revealed themselves in upper seating sections. The championship game turned into a hostage situation live on national television. Crowds stampeded. Children cried. Commentators screamed in confusion. Marcus sprinted toward the central control room. And Ethan watched the nightmare unfold from the field itself. Football no longer mattered. Only survival. Smoke filled the stadium. Sirens echoed everywhere. Helicopters circled above. Live broadcasts captured national panic. Marcus fought through stadium corridors toward the control center. Bodies lay across the ground. Federal agents loyal to Pierce exchanged fire with police. America watched corruption explode in real time. Inside the control room, Adrian Vale stood calmly beside detonators. Pierce guarded the doors. Marcus entered slowly. Gun raised. Rain hammered the stadium roof above them. Vale smiled. You know what football really is? Marcus stayed silent. A machine. A distraction. People worship athletes while the powerful rob them blind. Marcus answered quietly. Maybe. But people also believe in heroes. Vale laughed. Heroes die. Gunfire exploded instantly. Marcus shot Pierce first. The federal agent collapsed backward into monitors. Then Marcus and Vale fought brutally across the control room. Fists. Glass. Blood. Years of hatred finally exploding. Meanwhile, below on the field, Ethan saw armed mercenaries approaching terrified fans. Something changed inside him. No more fear. No more running. Ethan grabbed a fallen security officer's radio. Then stepped onto the field microphone platform. Millions watching worldwide saw him clearly. Ethan shouted, "Listen to me! Get to the lower tunnels now!" Fans obeyed instantly. Because heroes still mattered. Back inside the control room, Vale reached the detonator. Marcus lunged desperately. Too late. Vale pressed the trigger. Nothing happened. Vale froze. Claire's voice crackled through nearby speakers. Bomb squad disconnected your network 5 minutes ago. Vale's expression shattered. For the first time, fear. Marcus looked directly at him. It's over. Vale charged one final time. Marcus fired. Silence. Adrian Vale collapsed beside the stadium control panels while emergency lights flashed red around him. The nightmare finally ended. 3 months later. Chicago. Winter snow covered the streets peacefully. Marcus Kane stood outside Soldier Field beside Lena and Claire. News reporters crowded nearby. Federal corruption investigations dominated headlines. Hundreds arrested. Illegal betting networks destroyed. And Ethan Cole? America loved him more than ever. Not because of football. Because he saved lives. A little girl approached Marcus shyly holding a football. Are you the hero detective? Marcus smiled faintly. No. Wrong guy. He pointed toward Ethan signing autographs nearby. That's the hero. Ethan overheard and laughed. Pretty sure we both got shot at. Marcus extended his hand. Ethan shook it firmly. 2 completely different worlds. Police. Football. Connected forever by violence and survival. Claire raised a camera. 1 picture. Marcus groaned. But finally stood beside Ethan. Snow fell softly across the stadium while cameras flashed. For the first time in a long time, America saw something real. Not celebrity. Not corruption. Not money. Just ordinary people choosing courage when fear would have been easier. And maybe that mattered more than football ever could. 1 year later. Small Texas town. Friday night football. Children filled the bleachers wearing oversized jerseys. Parents cheered beneath bright stadium lights. Ethan Cole stood quietly near the field beside Marcus Kane. No cameras. No reporters. Just football. Real football. A young quarterback launched a perfect pass under the lights. The crowd exploded with joy. Marcus watched silently. You know, he admitted. I think I finally understand why people love this game. Ethan smiled. Because it gives them hope. Marcus nodded slowly. And somewhere beneath those Friday night lights, America felt whole again. The end.